I'm lucky enough to train over 10,000 people now how to build their own e-commerce businesses. And I see three main mistakes that get made over and over and over again with beginners when they're looking to source products out of China. In this video, I'm going to show you what they are so you don't need to make them. First one, regulations. And I've just been going through this. It's a complete pain in the arse. I wanted to bring some aerosol into Portugal. We can't because Portugal does not allow aerosols to come through. Fuck only knows why. So we've got to go through Spain, and then we've got to freight them overland in a truck into Portugal. Okay. Anyway, so regulations are important. Here's what I've learned. Your factory will not tell you any of the regulations. Even if they know them, they won't tell them you, okay? Unless you specifically ask. And you've got to ask specifically because they don't want to get involved in the legality of it. That's what's going on for them. It's like a lawyer. They want to avoid the question wherever they can. So instead, the people you ask is your inspection company. Your inspection company will absolutely know the answer to that question. Hey, I'm looking at importing an aerosol-based product into Portugal. What are the regulations around that? Well, Neil, turns out you can't do that. You fucking idiot. You've got to go into Spain first. You've got to waste all that money, and then you've got to reroute it, which is exactly what I had to do. So regulations, very, very important. Factory won't tell you, don't expect them to. You've got to get that information yourself. It's a really, really important thing. I know that somebody will say to me, who am I using for inspections? This is my go-to company. All things being equal, this is who I use. SGS. They're at sgs.com. Okay. Next big mistake I see people making with importing products is set and forget. Like they pay their 30% deposit, which is very, very normal. And then they don't get back to the factory at all. They just leave it and wait for the factory to say, hey, your stuff's ready. Okay. So it's just like setting it and forgetting it. Don't do that. You've got to stay in touch at least once a week just to keep abreast of what's going on. Ask if you can be given a virtual tour of the assembly line with your stuff getting done. Keep letting them know that you're there. All right. That's kind of basically what you're looking to do. Keep letting them know you're there. Keep letting them know that your order is in the queue and they shouldn't shove it back for somebody else because that happens heaps. So you don't want that to happen. Okay. Every week, find a reason to talk to them. Hey, can you show me one of the samples that you've done yet? Or can you give me a production inspection? Can I see the production facilities, please? Can you show me on the factory line? Can we do a video chat? Whatever it is, keep reminding them that you're there, okay? Last one, and this is a big one. Last one is not having agreements. So I see lots and lots of people get into this and they let the factory dictate all of the terms. The factory gives out their own particular terms of service instead of you giving the factory your terms of service. Hey, factory owner, we've got your terms. Great. Here's my terms. Here's what you've got to sign for me. Okay. I see it all the time. Especially with beginners who aren't very skilled with this. It's a big, big mistake. You should think about this, okay? So some of the things I put in mind are most folks are going to have that 30% down and then 70% upon completion, okay? That is the factory's default. Will you pay the rest as soon as we have finished, okay? That's not what you want. It's okay to have 30% down, no problem at all. But what you want in your contract is I pay the rest when the products have been inspected by SGS, for instance, and I am happy with the quality of the materials. That is when I pay the rest, okay? So that's a very, very simple thing. You want to do that. And of course, that then begs the question, you've got to have an inspection. It's a really good idea to have an inspection. I always inspect the first time. I always say I'm going to inspect the second time, but I don't. And then I inspect the third time. So I have it on a intermittent cycle of when I do and don't, okay? Kind of like gambling, and this is how poker machines work. Anyway, that was really, really well. So quick word on your inspection. Anybody that's ever had an inspection done will know that 90% of inspections fail, meaning the factory did not conform to your specifications and there's problems with your order, okay? Just like if I give a legal document to my lawyer, they will find a shitload of problems with it. I'm paying them to find all the problems. Your inspection will fail, okay? They'll say, no, this isn't right, it's not good enough. Now, what your job is to think about the things that failed and think if you can live with them or not. Because, you know, you can fail for things like, oh, the color that you wanted, the Pantone color, it's one shade different to what's actually come out. It's one shade different. Deal breaker, maybe, maybe not, probably not for me, maybe for you though. Some of the things inside the battery compartment wasn't quite as we wanted it to be. Deal breaker, probably not. But again, most of your inspections will fail, okay? So I have that in place and I get an inspection done. First time, always. I know it's going to fail. I'm prepared for it. And I know what I can tolerate and what I can't tolerate, just like on a legal contract, okay? I also have penalty fees in place. So this is all around timing. It takes way longer than you would think to get your shit done. To get it from when you pay your 30% to when you can actually put it into Amazon and start selling it, that period of time is way longer than people realize, okay? So anything you can do to keep that short, you absolutely want to do to keep it short. So one thing I do is I have a penalty clause, and that penalty clause basically says, I give you, so here's our date when we're due to have this stuff done and my inspection done, okay? This is the date, could be 2 weeks, could be 3 weeks, whatever it is, you've already negotiated out with the factory. If you are late, here's what's gonna happen. So first up, I give you 2 weeks goodwill. 2 weeks, you know, shit happens for a factory. Employees are getting sick. Who knows what the hell's going on, but 2 weeks is fair. If there's a problem, you give them 2 weeks goodwill. After that, there's penalties. My penalties are, I've got to read these off for you. So 14 to 20 days late, it's 0.5% reduction of the total order cost. So if my order is $1,000, then I'm going to take 0.5% off of that I'm not giving the factory anymore. If it's 20 to 30 days late, I charge them 0.8% and so on and so on, okay? Now, I have never, ever actually charged them. I've never charged them, but you want it in there so that they see, freaking hell, I better make sure we get our shit together and we get this done. Otherwise, this person's going to start charging me, okay? You'd never charge them because you want to maintain that goodwill and you do other things instead. But you should have it in there so that they know you're serious. Here's our penalties if you're late. If something goes wrong, it's not my fault, but you're stopping me making sales. Here's the penalties for that, okay? What I tend to do is I tend to, instead of charging them, I tend to say, give me some product for free. So I've ordered 1,000 units. Instead, do 1,020 for me, do 1,050 for me. That's a much better way of handling it, okay? And the factory will be okay with that. Rather than giving you money, they'll give you stuff instead. I also, as well, ask the factory, that's the final one that should always go in. There's lots of others, but these are the big ones. Ask the factory to do basically like a letter of guarantee. And what that letter of guarantee is if the product goes to Amazon, directly from the factory. Well, I don't get to see that. Okay. It's now at the factory and I'm getting all sorts of complaints. And I'm like, why am I getting all these complaints? Turns out there's a problem with the product and it's the factory's fault. That problem is okay. So what I have is any products that I get returned as a result of a problem with manufacturing process, you give me those products back when I order next time. Okay, so you're going to get, I've had 60 things returned. You're going to do me an extra 60 units the next time I do the order with you. Okay, that's it's called a letter of guarantee. That's basically what you want to do. You will not get them to give you the money back. Nobody will sign that, but they'll be happy to sign that guarantee that anything you get returned, they will replace for free for you. Okay, that's how that will work. That was a video from my regular Monday night Q&A session with the members of the Aussie Online Entrepreneurs. We are a community of over 2,500 professional e-commerce sellers from right around the world, selling on everything from Amazon to Shopify, eBay to Etsy, and much, much more. If you'd like to find out what we're doing and how we go about helping you make your business successful, get yourself off to www.aussieonlineentrepreneurs.com.au. The link for that is in the description. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.